We are here today on the Gravity Podcast with Scott Donnell. And Scott, it's awesome to have you here. I'm really excited. I know this is a big time for you. You got a lot going on, but it's fun to have you here and look forward to hearing your story.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. This is going to be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, so let's start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about kind of these early days, how your kind of early childhood was shaped, your family dynamics. Kind of give me the early story.
Yeah. Okay. I love interviews like this. I don't think I've ever had one.
Great.
Usually people want to know about how much money you have. This is great. This is 10,000 times better. So
no, we want to hear the good stuff.
Yeah, the real stuff. Fine by me. This is way better. So I was born up on Whidbey Island, north of Seattle. Live in Phoenix now. I've got a twin sister, Stacy. And I've got an older sister, Kelsey. And my older sister has spina bifida. And that, when I think about like the stories of my life, that was probably one of the biggest ones. My sister was, 11 major life-threatening surgeries before we were like 12.
Jeez. And
we spent most of our time in children's hospitals. And, Kelsey was, she was 2 years older than me, but making sure she was healthy was like the family's number one priority. And I think from a very early age, I quickly assumed like oldest son, oldest brother, kind of this idea of like protecting my sisters and protecting the family and providing for everyone. And because there was just a lot less energy to go around to parent me. So I was basically on my own from the get-go. I have great parents. Awesome family, very entrepreneurial. 4 generations. My ancestors came across the Oregon Trail. My grandpa, on my dad's side, invented the rope tow for skiing. My grandpa on my mom's side created Interwest Bank, one of the top business small bank in America, sold to Wells Fargo in 2001, 88 branches. He was Ronald Reagan's bank chair. How cool is that?
This is great. Yeah.
Right. So I just
it's
have
really
it
in the blood.
It's in the blood, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just from the get-go, I was unemployable.
Yeah.
And then, my dad's a prolific entrepreneur as well. Tons of amazing investments and, helped a ton grow the bank. He was their chief marketing officer. Basically, he and my grandpa did it. And so that's just been us. And by the way, it's 4 generations of crushing it in business and not passing on a penny.
Interesting.
Not because they squandered it, but because they gave it away. So we are a total teach you to fish family. And so like my college, they had like, 20 grand. They're like, the rest you got to pay for yourself. And if you can make more, you can keep the rest of that 20, but here you go. It was an amazing gift, right? But that's it. No investments, none of that other stuff. It's just like, figure it out and we'll teach you everything you need to know to be self-sufficient in life. And so, and my first business was in 3rd grade. I love business. It's from the get-go. Oh my gosh, it's right here. That is awesome. Check this out. So we started a business called myfirstsale.com this year when COVID hit.
Okay.
And what it does is it teaches kids entrepreneurship from ages like 7 to 15. We teach them all these cool like 3-minute videos on profit and pitch and how to find your passion and literally start a small product. And then we give you a storefront to sell it. On our website, myfirstsale.com, we bring you a ton of sales. And the kids are making like $500, $1,000 on their launch day. It's like a 3-week program. Then you don't have to have it forever. It's just a quick, fun family project that teaches you all about these free market principles. Here's my first business. 3rd grade, bead gecko keychains. Look at this. My mom found this and shipped it to me last year. And I've been like having it on my desk ever since.
Great.
So
great. Let me back up and just kind of hop in for a second because there's a lot there and it's really a great story already. But I want to focus on the experience that you had with your sister and this idea that you really had to kind of be the man of the house or the adult kind of, pretty early on. Tell me a little bit more. What was that like to kind of, know that her health and kind of, that was at the forefront of everything, and for good reason. But you're a kid, you're having to kind of do some adult things. I'm guessing maybe your life is kind of to some degree maybe put on hold a little while you're doing this. Tell me about that. What was that like, and kind of how did that impact you?
Yeah. So my sister Kelsey, they spent so much time in the hospital. I mean, it's crazy. So for those of you who don't understand spina bifida, you're born with like a quarter-sized hole at the top of your spine, and it can build up fluid in your shunt in your brain. You can immediately have seizures out of nowhere. It affects your maturation, your development. So she was wearing crutches. She's in a wheelchair. All of a sudden, she would accidentally fall and break several bones, and we'd have to go straight to the hospital. All of a sudden, she'd have a seizure. All of a sudden, just my childhood was like, my parents did an amazing job of giving us security to a degree. But at the same time, it was crazy. Like all of a sudden, something crazy would go on, and our whole family would be rushed to the hospital for a week. We spent 3 months in the Chicago Ronald McDonald Hospital, actually with the Largent family. If you've ever heard of Steve Largent.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, they're like some of our closest family friends. Their son, Kramer, same age as my sister. So we actually spent a lot of our childhood with them. He taught me how to throw a football. He was the wide receiver with the Seahawks.
Yeah. I remember Steve Largent well. Yeah. He not only was a great player, but he had kind of a class reputation as a guy.
Yep. Yeah. And a politician. He's the governor. He's an amazing, amazing guy. So we actually ended up spending a lot of time with their family. Taught me to throw and catch a football. If you can touch it, you can catch it, son, was his main quote with all of us. He has 3 boys, so we would all run routes. But yeah, I mean, we just spent a lot of time in the making sure she was okay. And I remember I've really only been in a couple fights in my life. Not really any. I'm not a fighter really. Not with my fists. But in 3rd grade, my sister was like in 5th grade and like was being picked on by like the middle schoolers. And in 3rd grade, I just came out of nowhere, like full speed, half the size of these like 3 guys. And that was like the first fight I'd ever been in. Like picture a Tasmanian devil, right? Like I just went after these guys. And I don't know, it was just like protector, provider, just from a very young age.
Do you think that's like an instinctual thing? Like I could see, some kids maybe are resentful or pissed, at a young age. I mean, it just naturally, maybe, the idea that you got to be, going to the Ronald McDonald House and leaving your friends and leaving whatever else it is that you value at that age. Some people could be, pissed, resentful. And you sound like you were like going into this leadership kind of wiring and this loving, kind of protecting. Is that just kind of who you are, or was it, in part like the experience of your sister that made you that way?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I don't know. I think it's got to be in your blood to a degree, but a lot of this stuff is caught, right? Like our family, we were family of faith, deep faith, love Jesus, and we were never victims. No matter what, like you get a bad grade, you get screwed, you don't make the cut for the sports team. You didn't make it. It's okay. Not everybody gets a ribbon. Not everybody gets a trophy. Try harder, right? Work harder, become better, right? Like that's kind of our family is like, you can grow, you can develop, you can evolve. Your moral character can develop, your physical acumen, your business acumen, your grades, like you can progress, and it's up to you and your own personal responsibility to do it. That was from day one, man. And so there was never any of this feeling.
Was that taught verbally, or was that kind of role modeled, or how did that kind of come across to you?
Yeah, I think it was all of the above. I mean, again, family of entrepreneurs. I was in the family bank, which was a mile from our house growing up on Whidbey Island. I was shredding papers at 6 years old. I mean, it's just in the blood, man. Like my dad would kick me out of the house at 6 a.m. Okay. This was like when I was like 5. Okay. I don't know about today's world, if you could do that, but we would play in the woods. They said, don't come back until dinner, or if you're really hurt, like really hurt. And it was like my whole childhood, all day, every day, unless we were at school, we were out playing in the woods, We were out by the ocean, literally from the age of 5. We were making tree forts 30 feet up. I mean, it was just like, I think it was part of this, like, make your own way. Like, learn, my family was busy. And so we just made our own fun. We made our own life. And it ended up just creating this resiliency, I think. Right. And, we just had some simple family rules. And homework was not even an option, right? Like, we're Donnells, we get A's. We're Donnells, we do it right. We're Donnells, we do it no matter what. And, my buddy Chris Smith runs a company called Family Brand. And I realized this over the last year as we created our family's brand with our 3 kids. Our culture as a family, you need to set up what's your mission and your values as a family. And I realized that, Donnells make things better is like one of our favorite family culture pieces. So you make things better with your friend group, right? You're a giver more than a taker. With your work, you're a servant. With your personal, moral stature, your acumen, like, make things better. Business, that's the epitome of business. Solve problems and make things better. So Donnells make things better. Donnells are fun and active. Donnells do the right thing. Donnells support each other 100%, and Donnells are all in. Right.
And this is your immediate family now.
Now,
with your children.
But it was my family growing up. Like, these are through lines, right? I mean, this is what Amy and I realized is this is sort of the vision we want to have for our family as we grow up and the decisions we make. So, and that's totally from my childhood.
And is that like an exercise that you actually have like sat down and written out and articulated to your kids? Tell me a little bit about that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So my buddy, when we started my first sale, and now we've got the biotech company and stuff, but I started my first sale and my buddy Chris reached out. He's like, oh my gosh, can my kids do this? Right? We got to do this. And so I get to know Chris through Lee Richter, who's another person in strategic coach.
Yeah, lovely.
I get to know him. He's a fantastic family man, 5 kids. And his kids started doing our My First Sale beta program, and they started a t-shirt company. Okay, get this. It's called Create or Complain. So you can either create or complain. And they've sold like $3,800 in t-shirts on our site, on their page already. They're crushing it with their business. But Create or Complain is the family value of theirs. And so we got to talking. I'm like, what? This is the coolest idea. They're like, yeah, it's been one of our family values forever. And so I started talking to Chris about it. And he said, yeah, we started this thing called Family Brand. We help families come up with a family value system and a culture system. They create a culture wall. They create a family mission statement. It's actually like it's a few week-long process that you do with your wife and then your family too. And so it's a really cool way to just say, here's who we are. Here's what our family stands for. And it dictates all the decisions you make, the dinner table conversations, the trips you go on, the way that you raise your kids, and the way that you act as a family is based on all those values. It's a great process. It's called familybrand.com. I advise everyone, just, go over there, do their program.
Interesting. Yeah, that is great. I think that there's a lot of young families, certainly in the entrepreneurial world. This is an area that I'm personally passionate about. How do we create healthy founders, sustainable founders that are holistically supported? This is kind of my venture investing that I'm doing, is really trying to expand. As Dan Sullivan says, you don't want to disrupt things, you want to expand them. How do we expand the current venture model so that entrepreneurs are holistically supported? And I'm actually, excited to talk to you about what you're doing now with Hapbee, because I believe some of these tools, this technology, really can help people live a more holistic and well-rounded and full life, and also be creating powerfully. But we're gonna get to Hapbee in a minute. But I want to, before we do that, I want to just kind of like go through your journey. I'm also curious, as you've talked about your childhood. You mentioned you had a twin sister, and I'm curious kind of like where she is in all of this, and of how you start to emerge as you start to go through high school, college. Like what's your life like there?
Yeah. So, my sister and I are really close. Still are. It's funny. She's an artist. She's brilliant. She loves to cook. Her favorite day would be like a crossword puzzle on a rainy day inside sipping tea. And I could not be further the opposite on all those things, right? Like I want to be outside. I want to be skiing, CrossFit, wakeboard, like just hiking. I am a mathematical mind. I'm still extremely creative like she is. It's a different medium, right? She likes to paint and cook. And I love to start businesses and solve problems and engineer a solution, right? Create self-managing companies. And it's just so funny. We used to be super close. She lives in Seattle now. I live in Phoenix. Our politics now are polar opposite. She's like, Seattle politics. I'm Phoenix politics. So we've kind of gone like this, on some of our viewpoint, all of our viewpoints, it feels like over the last 10 years, but we're still super close. It's funny. I was a late bloomer. Okay. I didn't talk till I was like 4. The only reason they passed me on kindergarten, first and second grade is because of my twin sister. And they're like, we can't let him be behind. That would be terrible socially. And I was like, I hated reading. I couldn't like see the page at all. Like I just was a different thinker. And then, and I really struggled with that my whole life. But in third grade, I was watching someone play chess without ever playing. And all of a sudden, my teacher was like playing chess with all the whole class. And I watched him do one game of chess. And then I played him and I beat him. And I'm like the only third grader that's ever beaten this guy. And they were like, oh, he's not empty up there.
Yeah.
He's just different.
Yeah.
And so I'm a way different thinker about the world than, most other people. So I have a photographic memory, but I don't like to like the read and write side. I've just recently enjoyed more. It's much more like I can see machines, I can see numbers, I can see problems, I can see visions of, not like a vision, but like I can see exactly where something's going to go in 10 years because of all the pieces where my mind is at. So like this thing we built, I had literally the vision for what this would look like, the size, the what Hapbee's going to do, giving these like, signatures of molecules to people to make them feel any way they want to feel, the app, all this stuff. 2 years ago, literally just hit me. I knew exactly what it would look like. I know what's going to look like in 10 years. So that is just a kind of a different, I don't know, wiring inside me that I slowly started to see as I grew up. So, and then that's kind of my life, right? Like it's funny, you look back through your thread, I broke my ribs and my arms in football. And I said, screw this, I'm doing tennis.
Yeah.
So, I loved all the sports. I played all the sports, baseball, basketball, skiing. I did extreme skiing forever. But I broke a bunch of bones in football and I was like, forget this. I'm doing tennis. Started playing tennis my sophomore year, immediately state. Like it's a great sport. Played it. And then because of that, some random guy from Whitworth sees me playing in state and he goes, you got to come to Whitworth. And I immediately was like, okay. So I go to Whitworth. That changed my whole trajectory of where I went to school. That was in Spokane, Washington. I was 10 different majors. I thought I was going to do pre-med. My uncle's like the top pediatric surgeon at Mayo. I thought I was going to be an accountant. I thought I was going to be a pastor. Honestly, I was like, I'm fascinated by theology. I was a youth leader. I did tennis lessons, camp directing, and then this business thing kept coming through. And then I got written in as student body president in college. Okay. Didn't even run. Like the whole thousands of people wrote me in and I was president. And I remember sitting with the president of the school and my theology professor, and they both at the same, there's like, you're not a pastor. They're like, that's not you. Yeah. And it was the most freeing thing. They said, you're an entrepreneur. You think like an entrepreneur. You're a business mind. That can be your mission in the world. Go serve people, learn how to do it well, and you'll help millions more. And maybe someday you'll come back and run this school in 20, 30 years, and we'd be honored to work for you. You know how freeing that comment is, man?
Yeah. What strikes me is kind of going back to that kind of early childhood where you're not speaking, where there's questions about, who is Scott? What is Scott? How smart is Scott? Right? Like there's these moments where people see you, where you win the chess game, where your professor's saying, that's not you, right? Like people are are along the way, it appears to be seeing you in a way that is authentic, and then giving you some courage and confidence to be yourself. Is that right? I mean, it's kind of coming through, and it just seems like, wow, what a gift that you got that along the way.
Yeah, man. Just little unlocking comments along the way through mentors and people who loved me, and just tiny things. I can totally see how I got here. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I remember in 9th grade, I had an English teacher who was just like, I got a really good grade on my first essay. And this was like going from like private school to public school, right? Like first time being in front of like thousands and thousands of friends at a public school. He takes one look at my essay, and he's just like, wow. He's like, yeah, you're probably going to be one of the top people in this class. Mm-hmm. Boom. I was valedictorian. That one comment was all I lived on for 4 years. And then I get to college, and I was like, oh, I'm in college. All these people are way smarter than me. There's no way. And then I had done some work in one of my classes, and then one of my professors, after the first midterm, I got like a D. And he kind of looked at me and he goes, very surprising. I thought you'd be one of the top kids in this entire school. And that was all I needed. And then I got a 4.0 in college too. Just this crazy unlocking competitive drive. I don't know. He's just like, I see you as someone else. I got the President's Cup that led on to my entrepreneurial year-long program in Texas, that led on to the business side, that led on to my mentors now. I mean, just little comments that really change someone's life, good or bad. I mean, I know people that have had things happen to them that, bam, it just takes you down a terrible road. So,
I mean, it is interesting because, he says, I thought you'd be one of the top kids. It's an interesting way to kind of challenge somebody, right? You heard that as like, oh, he thinks I'm really smart. Some people could hear that as like, oh, he's really disappointed in me. I'm a disappointment,
That's right.
So, it is kind of an interesting thing, one, somebody who knows the way to connect to you, but then also your perspective. I mean, you spend your time, in part at least now, with, kind of hacking stuff, right? I mean,
that's right.
As we get to, Hapbee, you're hacking kind of the human experience, and these kind of like comments or I don't know, words of wisdom or kind of challenges along the way, and are hacks, really.
Right.
I mean, he was hacking your brain to get you to go, oh, I am actually smart.
That's right. Yeah. I love, Dan Sullivan, I think literally it was a couple weeks ago, we were talking about this, the breakthroughs, right? Yeah. What are the mental breakthroughs in your life? And a lot of people think that your life is just sort of like this, like hopefully I'll grow, I'll evolve, I'll learn as I get older and die. And I think it's like this, like, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Boom. I think that like there are markers in our lives that create like an explosion to move you forward and to take you in a new direction. And the more of those jumps that we can have, I think the better off we're going to be as a society, right?
Yeah. If people can't see maybe what you're doing, for those that aren't watching this on YouTube, it's more of like a straight line and then a big jump, right? And I've had that experience even like within Coach or YPO Forum or other kinds of, business experiences where it's like, sometimes, I think the message there is like, you got to stay in it. You got to be patient. You got to do the work. And then eventually you're going to get that
boom.
Pop. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit. I want to just make sure we touch on what you have done. Apex, the Apex Leadership Company, kind of all the work that you're doing for schools. I mean, clearly being a lifelong, really since a little kid, a lifelong entrepreneur, and to be able to then see how important that was in your life and provide some support for others to do that. Just you've talked a little bit about it, but share a little bit more about what you've done in that space.
Solve problems is sort of my thinking in life. I'm passionate about kids education. How kids develop is something that's just deep in my heart. Because I was a product of this as a kid. The system wasn't good for me, right? I was not the kid that was good in the system. I was a outside thinker. I was, they thought I had all these problems. Thank God my parents didn't medicate me. I mean, I am a different beast. Yeah, I did really well later in life, but it was because of competition. It wasn't because of the system. It was because somebody said something randomly and I thought, oh, this will be a fun competition, right? So when I started the entrepreneurial life, after I did a 1-year grad school program called the Acton School of Entrepreneurship in Austin, Texas. Fantastic program. It's run like The Apprentice. It's the top 35 entrepreneurs from around the country in their 20s and 30s. Amazing. If you pass, it's free. If you fail, it's $50,000. Wow. And a third of us had to fail. It was ranked. You're ranked every day with the words you say. We're going door-to-door sales, cold calling, like building call centers. It was fantastic. Anyway, I became really close with Jeff Sandifer, who's the founder of that program. And he's still one of my closest friends and mentors to this day. And he taught me a new way of thinking about how to educate kids, where you're not doing it. The kids are doing it. The kids go on a hero's journey, right? The kids learn by doing. They create projects. You tell the first graders, hey, you guys are in charge of the newsletter. And guess what? They're reading and writing in 3 months. Forget this. Let's trace our A's until Bobby can figure it out next month, right? You unlock kids. And if you can unlock kids, they have massive success and massive jumps. And so that's just been fascinating to me, right? Reading Solomon Khan Academy, right? The One Room Schoolhouse, like all these amazing unschooling rules, amazing books on how to help kids learn. And so that sparked a company. My wife now, I moved here to Phoenix to marry her, Amy, 10 years ago. And she's a first grade teacher. And she was complaining about a lot of this stuff. Like, our fundraising, we don't get the funds. Our kids aren't, struggling learning. There's no money for like fitness programs and after school and leadership programs. And so I basically created Apex Fun Run to help her school. What it is, it's like a 2-week leadership and fitness program. We bring in young athletes right out of college in local cities. And then they teach kids leadership for 2 weeks and fitness. And the kids are getting pledges from family and friends for the big run at the end of the 2 weeks. Okay. And then the kids are running like 36 laps around the huge track, blow up tunnels. They all get jerseys. The parents are cheering them on. And the school, we did our first school and the school made like $50,000. They netted twice as much as they'd ever made before. And it was hassle-free. They hadn't had that much fun ever as a school because our teams are young. They wear neon orange. They inspire the kids every day. They give them a character leadership program. They take them through this journey and the kids, it sticks, man. These kids are now like the first year, they're in college now and they still remember us from like first grade. It's super cool. And
yeah, that's really great.
It just exploded. Now we've got 100 franchises nationwide. We get a cut of the funds to cover our costs. We make a little bit, we move on, right? We just do this over and over with thousands and thousands of schools. So we started franchising it in 2013. We were on Entrepreneur Magazine, top fastest, growing franchises for years and years and years. My wife's school, they went from making 7,000 net at product sales, which you remember product sales when we were kids. Right. We're kind of replacing those, right? Making it healthy and fun. And they made 21,500 their first time with us. So
that's awesome.
That just exploded. It's been fun.
Yeah. Tell me, I'm just curious, how do you manage your time as it pertains to, kind of being involved in so many different things, and I know that you're, CEO of Hapbee, and I'm guessing that's kind of your primary focus today. And I want to talk about kind of how you got to that and I want you to tell us about Hapbee. But before you do, just tell me, kind of your time management. We both are big fans of Dan and Strategic Coach, time management systems. Tell me a little bit about kind of how you balance all the many things that you're involved in.
Well, I can't say I've done it perfectly. Definitely have had some mental breakdowns in the process and burnout. But this whole idea of a self-managing company, like if you can combine Dan Sullivan's thinking of a not just managing, but a self-multiplying company that runs on its own without you, that is every entrepreneur's dream, right? And then, that mindset is what you have to start. Okay. And then having free focus and buffer days is huge. Managing your time, only doing your unique ability, all those Dan Sullivan genius things.
Mm-hmm.
Then Gino Wickman's been really helpful with EOS, Entrepreneurial
Mm-hmm.
Operating System, thinking about traction and building
Yeah.
a system of reporting, a system of, quarterly rocks, weekly meetings. I have an integrator in each of the businesses. So I'm the visionary. Okay. So my goal is content, vision, strategy, biggest, partnerships and where we're going, the biggest jumps in the business. Then I have an integrator under me for each of the businesses, not for Hapbee yet, because I'm still building Hapbee. But for my first sale, one of my best friends, Trav from grad school, is now the CEO. He's the integrator running the ship at my first sale for the kids. Apex, I've got my top franchisee and my partner, Jeremy. So Nathan and Jeremy are running it with their team. They have all of their, weeklies. They have all their reporting. They're just growing the franchise system. And so I help with theme there. I help with content. I help with, strategic marketing initiatives, but mostly they're waking up and thinking about it all day, every day, not me.
Yeah.
And so that frees me up to do Hapbee, right? The biotech company.
Yeah, and we're gonna get there, I promise. But I'm just still intrigued. I also love the systems, everything you just described, including Gino's work, and I'm imagining what he's doing now. Leap is also probably really helpful.
He's coming on my podcast at 3:00 today.
Okay, yeah, I think he's on mine this week too, but or next week. But I love that system. Also, these systems are so freeing. I think that's the word you used, and it's exactly how I've experienced it. Just tell me, last question on this. From a kind of unique ability standpoint, and having these integrators really running these businesses. Are you sitting in an L10? Do you hop in like on a quarterly and annual? Like, what is the communication like for you to be able to stay involved, add value, doing the things that you love, your unique ability?
Yeah. So Apex, I drove Apex for 8 years straight. Like I was the guy. I had every single position in the business. So I know it inherently, right? Every franchisee trusts me and what I can say because I've done every spot in the business, right? And so unless you have that level of, you can't just start a business and hire somebody else. I guess you can, but you won't know anything. So for me, I want to make sure I know intimately every piece of the business, and then having an integrator come in and then take that over, train them up, and have them be the person that moves the strategic initiatives forward in the business is really valuable. So like with Apex, I have enough knowledge intimately of the business where all I have to do is be on a monthly call. That's it. I get a monthly update call from the executive team. It's a 2-hour call. I get all my numbers, all my rocks. We go through everything together, and then I'm just asking the questions I need to ask, and then they're good. And then there's something cool I find out through networking or marketing. I'm in Genius Network. So every time I'm there, there's 10 things we want to do differently. So I'm passing things on for them to analyze and, implement throughout the business. Same with my first sale. It's just passing on info. I'm doing vision. I'm doing content. I'm doing the podcast. My unique ability is vision, solving the major problem and setting up the system, as well as speaking, training, coaching. I love content and building, and I can see good stories, right? Like I love crafting amazing stories of our customers and sharing that with a lot of other people. That's one of my unique abilities. And so storytelling and speaking and training, that's all where I feel great every day. If that's all I had to do, I'm good. So that's what I want to do across the businesses.
Yeah, you and I have a lot of overlap in our unique abilities. We could probably talk a lot about that, but I do really want to give you an opportunity because I'm really excited about what you're doing with Hapbee. I think it's amazing. I love the kind of merger of technology and health and wellness and psychology and optimizing the human experience is really the thing that I'm most passionate about. All the modalities that allow humans to feel better, to live. So I'll let you talk about Hapbee, but why don't you tell the audience, what is it? And I also want to hear not just what is it, what are you doing, but I want to hear how did you arrive at it? How did that become your latest and greatest?
Yeah, so I am not a scientist. I'm not the PhDs that built this tech, but I'm a problem solver and a promoter and a marketer, and I can see marketing like an engine, right? I can see the stories. So this technology for Hapbee is a ultra low frequency drug signal therapy that's 18 years old, from a company out of Seattle that we licensed the tech from, that's working in the medical space. The company's called Emulate Therapeutics. I invested in that company in 2006. All right. A bunch of money, like all that I had almost, actually, because they were working on people with brain cancer. They still are going through FDA. It's crazy. They've helped hundreds of people. What they can do, the scientist that invented this, I mean, the guy who's invented Cialis, Dr. Kenneth Ferguson's our chief scientist at the parent company, unbelievable crew. They took this technology from the Navy and they were able to, it's called magnetometer technology. Okay. They were able to use this tech that the Navy uses to like listen for nuclear submarines, like this magnetic frequency reading, recording tech. It's like a propane tank. They were able to take it and tweak it and mess with it for 4 years in the labs to be able to turn it into listening in at the molecular level of molecules, like solvated molecules in solution, like coffee. Okay. Like a happy hour drink, like a muscle relaxant, right? And so the first signal that they got after 4 years of work was Taxol, which is a chemo drug. And they got the signal that helps people get the effects of Taxol without any of the toxicological side effects. It's through a frequency. And people are like, bullshit. There's no way that's possible. But let me ask you this. How do non-covalent bonds work? Okay. This is what it all comes down to. There's covalent bonds and there's non-covalent bonds. We can mimic the non-covalent bonds to a degree in your body, right? A non-covalent bond is not a chemical bond. So you don't need a physical lock and key enzyme substrate model there. A non-covalent bond is an exchange of electrons at the end of the day. It's a charge. Ibuprofen is non-covalent. Aspirin is covalent. We can't do that. Okay. But ibuprofen and other things like it, right? Hormones, stimulants, those types of things. We can create a frequency at the end of the day, a very precise 20 million data point frequency between 0 and 22 kilohertz that plays onto your body very safely, very softly. It's like 1/30,000th of what your phone throws out, right? Like in frequency. Very, very soft. That's why this was fuzzy. I had to pause it because this blocks out outside noise, blocks out EMF, and it just plays a very tiny, precise signal that triggers a sensation. It triggers a response in the body to certain receptors. It makes you feel like you've had the molecules in our app. Alert. That comes from coffee, energy drinks. It's an energy, it's a stimulant. Focus that triggers, the nicotinian. We have muscle relaxants. We have a calm signal that literally like mellows you out. Netflix and calm is like what everybody does with it. We have a sleepy signal that everyone loves. They put it on their pillow at night and it delivers sleep aids, the effects of them while you're sleeping, and their Oura Ring stats are like crushing it. So
is it something you hear, feel, both? Is it, tell me.
You don't hear it. No, it's inaudible. Okay. It is a magnetic field at the end of the day.
Got it.
It is playing the tiny frequency through this white space magnetic field onto your body. So a magnetic field, if you look at the Earth's magnetic field, right? Like what I'm getting here is like an egg. It's like a foot by foot block of a magnetic field onto my neck and my head. And it's playing this very, very precise frequency that is created to match and imitate what the molecule's non-covalent bonds would do to the body. That's what we're doing. And it's very simple. You just turn it on and bam, you play the signal. It's a playlist. I know not everybody can see it, but choose from the playlist what you want. And so we've got thousands of people now that are using this thing every day. And, you can use it for when you wake up in the morning, right? So I have to say this. People are like, I like coffee. I like alcohol. I like cigar. Like why would I stop doing those things? You don't have to stop doing those things. You just don't have them readily available. And some people like cutting back. They like replacement, so do it with those things. I actually do the happy signal mimics a couple happy hour drinks.
Okay.
It feels like a flush, euphoric, takes the edge off. It's a fantastic signal. In fact, we have a virtual happy hour. Get it? Happy. Yeah. And we have hundreds of people coming on today.
That's so great.
And they're all going to come on Zoom. We're going to announce the IPO tomorrow, which is huge.
And congratulations.
Dan Sullivan's coming on to share because he's been loving this thing for like 7 weeks now. And
yeah,
a bunch of people are just joining and we're all going to play Hapbee, the Hapbee signal. How fun is that, right?
It's so great. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think this is just really kind of where things are headed. I mean, I've been using Whoop and Oura Ring and, Chili Pad and, just kind of, getting into all the ways to help ourselves feel better and navigate, kind of the human experience. And this industry just appears to still be so early, the free zone frontier. I mean,
Dude.
there's so much here. I mean, and for you to be kind of right at this time.
Yeah.
I know you hit the market in March, right?
We started on Indiegogo. Yeah.
Okay.
Just for fun. We didn't need the money. We raised $8.5 million for this IPO in Toronto tomorrow. So, but we set a goal of like 15, 20 grand just to see how our marketing would convert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We didn't put the science on there, which actually created a bunch of trolls and stuff. But we finally did our placebo blinded studies in May, and then all the trolls shut up. It was awesome. We're like, hey, everyone can tell if this thing's on or not. And if it's between alert and sleepy, even if it's sham, it might be off, like 100% accurate. Okay. Right. So everyone was like, okay, we're good. And now if you use it, that's what we tell people. It's like, hey, just try it. It's 30-day money back guarantee. It's going to be awesome. So if you don't like it, we'll give you your money back plus a Starbucks gift card or something.
Yeah.
But if you like it, enjoy it. Right. So we launched Indiegogo. We only wanted to sell like 50 of these units. We sold 1,500 units.
Unbelievable.
It was like the top Indiegogo. And they put us all over these blogs and lists and rankings. And it was really, I mean, Dave Asprey posted, he's one of our main investors, Jim Quick, all these amazing people. Joe Polish opened up the world to us too as an investor. And so it's been really cool with this group of people. We just now caught up on manufacturing. So now we're building our next 10,000 units for the holiday season. But yeah, man, it's been a crazy ride this year. So our website just launched 2 weeks ago. So now you can buy it at hapbee.com, HAPBEE.com.
Yeah. Scott, this is great. And I know you've got a lot going on the IPO tomorrow. I appreciate you taking some time. Any kind of final thoughts or words of wisdom, anything you want to leave with the audience? Certainly how to find you, where people can, see what you're up to. Anything you want to share in closing?
No, man. I mean, just to the entrepreneurs out there, you just got to keep going. Like I didn't even get into all the failures and all the crazy things. Each of these companies has 10 failures within them. Things you try, things we wasted money on. That COVID hit, and the Apex business had 500 employees, and 3 million kids we've served, and it went down to nothing for the last 7 months. Right? That drives you insane. You go broke. Now we're just picking it up again, and it's kids are coming back in school, and we're picking it up again. But man, like things like that, you have to persevere, right? Like you only fail if you quit. So the point is iterate, tweak, figure out a way. And just because it didn't work out the first time, what was the light bulb? 10,000 tries Edison did to get the light bulb, right?
Yeah.
Every business is just a couple tries away from mega success. You have to think that way. I look at it like this. Okay, Facebook. Do you know how many A/B tests Facebook has every day?
I don't, but I can only imagine.
It's like 50,000.
Yeah.
So they are testing. An A/B is, for everyone who's listening, an A/B is where you like tweak an image, tweak the words, tweak how the page looks, tweak how different things go on the site to see what's better and what's worse. That's a test.
Yeah.
And there's failures. There's 49,000 failures, right? Every day at Facebook, because what they're doing is they're doing small, cheap tests and experiments to find out what's going to get them better. And each win is a mega win. I mean, Bezos was the one that said, all I need is a win. So if a win is 1,000 times more valuable, I'm going to go through 900 of the no's and the losses because I'll learn. It's not a lose, it's a learn. So that's my encouragement to everybody out there, because it's a crazy time, I know, but just hang in there and keep going, and grit and resourcefulness are the two keys you need.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's a great way to wrap up. And certainly your life has really been that. You've learned at a young age through your sister, through your parents, through your life experience, that you had to grind and go out there and make it happen. And you've developed what, appears to be a real joy and satisfaction in doing that, which I think is, exactly where you want to be. I think that's part of why I like what Gino's doing with Leap, is because it's not for everybody. You've got to really love the ups and downs. You've got to love the grind. You've got to love being gritty. That isn't for everybody. And, I think that's an important thing for people to know too, but it's clearly for you. Congratulations on your success. And thanks for joining me here. It's been fun, and look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thanks, Brett.